Hello again and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel. And this is another edition of Sober Talk. It's been too long since we've done a Sober Talk, but sit back and relax, and I hope you enjoy this as much as I'm going to try to enjoy making this for you. Um, some of the things that we talk about in Alcoholics Anonymous is different ways we use to stay sober. And if you go into any meeting, you'll typically hear things like, keep coming back. It works if you work it. You know, uh, you can't get drunk if you don't pick up the first drink. You'll hear a bunch of stuff like that. Um, and if you stick around long enough, you'll hear things that you don't hear in the big book, or any of the other literature for that matter. And these things can help a person stay sober, if they use them to their advantage, because that's the whole secret to sobriety, is using things that you typically uh, that it might be goofy at the moment, but it isn't goofy when you need to stay sober. You need that one thing that'll help you stay sober. You'll hear sometimes in the program, it's a one day at a time process. Well, um, I often heard back in my early days, and I don't hear it much anymore, that one day at a time can be broken down. Sometimes you got to take it, 6 hours at a time, or sometimes you have to take it hour by hour. And I have actually said in meetings a few times, there's been times in my life where it's been so difficult, I had to take sobriety 1 minute at a time, and I counted every second, which literally that has happened to me. Um, You'll hear people say, think the drink through, just different things like that. So stick around in the meetings. You'll hear an old timer say something that you'll grab onto. And here's some of the things that I have picked up on over the years. Used to be when I first got sober, and this has been 10 years ago, and a lot's changed in AA. A lot has changed. One of the things that I remember hearing early on was acronyms. Maybe certain things stood for certain things, like the word fear. And I'll even put these up so you can, kind of write them down. But I remember hearing about the word fear. Fear stood for a couple different things. F everything and run. Get it? Um, or it was false events appearing real. Or face everything and recover. Just those acronyms that kind of stand out. Nuts, not using the steps. Um, let's see, slip. You don't hear about that. You hear relapse, but you used to hear the word slip every now and again, and that stood for sobriety loses its priority. Um, let's see, another one that I remember was sponsor. Sober person offering newcomers suggestions on recovery. Let's see, another one that this one's really hard to remember, and but I still remember it. Relationship. Really exciting love affair turns into outrageous nightmare. Sobriety hangs in peril. And every once in a while, I will trump that around in meetings, and people just laugh. Oh my gosh, they laugh. And one of the things I will often tell people is humor is so important in sobriety. Uh, but those are just some of the things that are not in the book. Okay, and these are just things that I've hung on to, and as goofy as they sound to some people, they help. They do help. Sometimes you're in a bad situation and you're struggling, and all of a sudden you'll think of something that's in the program, and you might have a laugh, or it might make you think, and all of a sudden it pulls you through on the other side where you don't have to drink. And these are just some of the tips that I've learned in my long-term sobriety, um, especially in my early days. Just little things that got me over the hump, and that sort of thing. Um, so those are just some of the things you'll hear in meetings every now and again. Well, I remember I used to hear it in meetings every now and again, and this was one of those things that would help scare me into staying sober. You'd hear people say, "I know I've got another relapse in me, but I don't know if I have another recovery." Um, and those were sometimes things that would scare me enough to keep me in the program. Um, to keep me on the straight and narrow. Um, those are things that are just not in the book. You know, so if you go to a meeting, occasionally you'll hear things like that. There's little tidbits that you can pick up on, and uh, that are very useful. But those things are not in the book. And we've, unfortunately, as time goes on, we're starting to get our millennials in the program, and they don't really grab onto this stuff. They hang on to other little things and things like that. And it just, I almost feel like things that I enjoyed whenever I got sober, things that helped me, are kind of going to the wayside because of things, times change. Um, Now, occasionally you will hear things if you have some rough, tough old timers still around in your area. Occasionally you will hear things that'll upset you. So this is for the millennials who have a hard time, getting that tough love. If you go into a meeting and you hear an old timer say something to the effect of "Sit down, shut up. Uh, we know what you know. Um, you need to listen to what we know." That's true, but if that old timer's real, um, you know, if that old timer is real, he's going to listen to your story no matter how new you are because it's going to help him stay sober. And I'll tell you right now that I'm considered an old timer in my area with 10 years of sobriety, do me a big favor. Don't listen to that. I need to hear the newcomers. It scares me into staying sober. Okay? Just remember that. I need you guys to tell me your story because if I hear how bad it's still out there, I'm not going to go drink. Um, Another thing that you'll occasionally hear from time to time from the rough tough old timers that we're starting to lose to their passing is your best thinking got you here. That's right. Your best thinking did get you into the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. Your worst thinking would have gotten you killed. So do me a favor. Don't get hung up on that. They're just trying to show you that tough love so you'll stick around because if millennials, if we're tough on you, it's not because we're trying to be mean. It's just because we want you to stick around. And sometimes the only way to make a person stick around is to beat up their ego a little bit, rough up a person's ego enough, and make them humble. They'll stick around. They'll have the chance of staying sober. If your ego gets in the way, you start lying to yourself, and your chances of sobriety are slim to none. And the big book talks about it, but it doesn't exactly say what I'm saying. So thank you, old timers, for being tough on us. Um, so those are just some of the things that you could, just tuck away in your head. And like I said, I'll put a little, you look through this video, you'll see some things pop up. As I'm making this video, it is February 13th, 2016. February 7th, I celebrated 10 years of continuous sobriety, and that was pretty awesome. Uh, you know, um, so that's where we're at with this. Just a few little things that might help you stay sober. There's like a gazillion of them, and it'll take me hours on end to talk about all the ones that things that are not exactly in the books, but typically have helped me along the way. So just grab onto that, run with it if you'd like. Hang on to it because, it's all about saving your own life, and that's what it's all about for me today. All right, that brings us to the end of this video. Like if you would, subscribe if you would. And since this is about, Alcoholics Anonymous, um, do remember at day's end, I hope all of you need me as much as I need you. And above all, if nobody's told you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.